visa-free travel to the UK, 4 cops in custody for car crash, and NRF sees largest growth in previous quarter. I'm Rico Bulford, and this is Uncut News. You see what's happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-6151. From November 9th, holders of Guyanese passports will be allowed visa-free entry to the United Kingdom for up to 6 months. This was announced by the UK High Commissioner to Guyana, Jane Miller. British Airways is to begin flying to Georgetown in March of next year, so visa-free access for Guyanese is seen as helping to boost traffic between the two nations. The visa-free access is for tourists and business travelers. Persons seeking long stays or studying and working still need a visa. At the same press conference, the head of state revealed that the government is pursuing a new policy regarding Guyana's oil and gas resources. Instead of auctioning off all remaining blocks, an undisclosed number will be kept for state partnerships. When asked for additional details, he said that a, quote, full elaboration of the plan will be provided at the appropriate time, end quote. The much-anticipated auction of the oil blocks was scheduled for the end of September, but it has not yet occurred, and no new date has been set as of yet. The government intends to present legislation to allow a single-window planning permit system to the National Assembly before year's end to create a more business-friendly environment and to ease the pressures that entrepreneurs face when starting up a business. From experience, I can tell you it's very difficult. Using an electronic-based documentation system will reduce the time for steps that must be followed for transactions, filling the standardized application forms, and meeting the checklist and processing time. This is wonderful. I really hope them the best with this venture. GCOM has dispatched a letter to the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Nigel Domlall, advising of a possible window for the hosting of local government elections. GCOM's Public Relations Officer, Yolanda Ward, told Starbrick News that the letter was dispatched to Domlall yesterday. However, she could not release the contents of the letter, but advised that the minister was indeed written to and will make the announcement of a possible date for the elections whenever he deems fit. Most likely, it will happen sometime in March. 4 police officers are currently under close arrest after they reportedly crashed a GPF vehicle in Bebis on Monday. According to reports, the ranks were responding to a report of an accident involving a cow when they crashed. No further details were provided, and there is no clear indication as to where exactly in Bebis the incident occurred. It might not be robbery season, but the streets are still mean. That's why you need to get security for your home and business through Sheriff Security Service. Sheriff Security offers well-trained guards, armed and unarmed patrol, marine patrol, canine services. These people even got drones. Why? Because your security is their highest priority. You've seen the rest. Now hire the best. Hire Sheriff Security Service today. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's Car of the Week. Currently on sale is this 2016 Toyota Crown Athlete. It comes with Bluetooth mount rims, new tires, TV, CD, stereo, fog lamp, spot camera, and much, much more. Buy cash for $9.95 million, or pay as low as $1.99 million down with around $170,000 monthly for 5 years, and it is yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info, or visit the showrooms at Lot 171 Piroche, Queenstown, Lot 2 Lamashi, and tell them the Rico sent you for this sweet deal. Yesterday, 37-year-old farmer Daryl Williams of Muckamucka Village, Central Rupununi, Region 9, pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Williams was initially indicted for the capital offense of murder, but he instead admitted to unlawfully killing 44-year-old Brazilian national Elvis Alucio on December 26, 2018. Sentencing for Williams will take place on October 28, 2022. Almost 5 years after 18-year-old Ranella Benfield was brutally murdered and dumped in a cemetery on the east coast of Aurora, the coroner's inquest into her death is scheduled to recommence on Thursday. This will involve a sitting magistrate acting as the coroner, impaneling a jury and conducting an inquest. The jury's role is to examine all of the evidence presented and decide whether any criminal charges can be laid, and if so, against whom. A total of 24 witnesses are expected to testify during the inquest. Another speedboat sank in the Essequibo River. Around midday yesterday, a speedboat transporting a group of local athletes from Bariga to Supanam sank near Truly Island. The athletes are from Maruka, Region 1. They had participated in this year's Amerindian Heritage Games and were on their way home when the bottom of the boat reportedly collapsed. No injuries were reported. Nonetheless, the incident is currently under investigation. After spending the last year on the run, fugitive Daquan King pleaded guilty to 4 armed robbery charges concerning the 2021 multi-million-dollar gold robbery at Wallison Enterprise in Kitty, Georgetown. King said he was not directly involved in the robbery, but only transported the men since they were passengers in his taxi. According to King, he fled to Suriname after a wanted bulletin was issued for his arrest, and thus he feared for his life. Anyway, he was recently nabbed by the authorities in Suriname and deported to Guyana. King is expected back in court on November 21st. Now for today's oil update. CGX Energy declared yesterday that it is finally moving ahead with other critical works for the Berbice Deepwater Port. The company said there were some revisions that were needed to the design of its wharf and trestle in the Berbice River, and with that aspect completed, it is finally moving forward with the construction and dredging operations. It said this launches the next phase of construction of its Deepwater Port project, which starts later this month. The company said it has already expended some $22 million on the project, which is being built on 30 acres of land adjacent to and north of Crab Island on the eastern bank of the Berbice River. And as you know, Crab Island is the proposed site of the 30,000 barrel per day oil refinery. In other oil news, Exxon recently issued a request for information seeking detailed commercial and technical information from suppliers to manage the construction of the Guyana Technical Training Center. The scope of this RFI is to identify suppliers who can support the development and definition of the project scope of works, requirements, plans, processes, and procedures for all phases of the work. Develop an in-house schedule and options for different execution strategies, including a risk option analysis for each strategy, and manage the day-to-day project activities and requirements, including participating/leading meetings and issuing minutes of said meetings. Wow, that's a lot of requirements. And our top oil story for the day, the third quarter of this year, July to September, has turned out to be the most lucrative quarter yet for Guyana's oil earnings, with inflows of over 100 billion Guyana dollars going into the Natural Resources Fund. According to the Bank of Guyana, the NRF earned a total of 102.8 billion Guyana dollars. That equals US 493.1 million. This includes profit oil of 92.1 billion Guyana dollars, or US 442.1 million, and royalties of 10.6 billion Guyana dollars, or 51 million US. The increase was attributed to oil production effectively being doubled with the second FPSO vessel coming on stream this year. Since oil production began in 2019, there have been 16 lifts of profit oil, which have brought in US $1.2 billion, which is the equivalent of 269.3 billion Guyana dollars in profit oil revenue, and 31.9 billion Guyana dollars, or US 153.1 million in royalty payments. Attention truck owners, if you're not shopping at Powered Automotive, you're wasting your money. Powered Automotive has all the major parts for all models of DAF, Freightliner, Mark, International, and more. No need to knock your belly here. They have all the parts you need at prices you can afford. Visit them at Lot 491 EE Eccles, or call or WhatsApp them on telephone number 6970171. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. You can multiply your cash by selling digital top-up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your current hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy by linking with Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. Now it's time for our Uncut News Views Poll Question of the Day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Ghana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. Last night I asked about the location for the proposed oil refinery. Narayan Ramdat says, good idea. Crab Island is in a great location and will bring much needed jobs to that area. I agree, it's actually a very strategic location, especially when you consider the fact that the Deepwater Port will be located near, and it's about halfway between Georgetown and Paramaribo, two of the capitals of these two oil-producing nations. It's actually a really good location if you ask me. Troy DeWeaver says Crab Island or whatever island. I'm glad that Guyanese will have different kinds of oil and they will pay less at the pump and so on. Guy Bryant says the oil refinery needs to be placed between Linden and Latham so people in those areas can get jobs too. They are Guyanese too. Well, that might be a little difficult, because of the location and everything. It's a very landlocked area, but I'm sure there are some spillover industries that can most definitely be placed in those areas. And finally, Mr. Hall says that's a strategic move by the government. Why? Because there aren't anything going on in Berbice to build its economy, and I believe that can create an economic boost for Regions 5 and 6. Now for tonight's question. How do you feel about the dropping of UK visa restrictions for Guyanese? Do you think it's a good thing for our economy and a sign of things to come? Or are you afraid it's going to probably lead to mass exodus? Frankly, I don't think it's that simple, but I want to hear from you all. So, think about that question. Tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight, and check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bulford saying good night, folks.